Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen Barlow, and I am the Technology Librarian here at Mandel Public Library of West Palm Beach. This is a re-recording of a lesson that I did a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, there was an error with the original recording, and I apologize for all those who might have been waiting for it. I was a little sick last week, but I'm finally back in and getting it done. So today we'll be going over how to use Tinkercad, how to sign up, a little bit of a tour navigation of how to use it, and how to create a cool little, well, as I call it, the ultimate video game character. This is for a project that I've been working on while we've all been quarantined. The library recently got a hold of something called Unity gaming engine, and I've been learning how to create video games. Well, C# coding, things like that. So I wanted to create a video game for the library, and going along with that, I wanted to find a way to make it more of a community thing. So what I thought I would do is I figured out that you can actually create models in Tinkercad and export them and actually use them as video game characters. So I am calling upon anyone who'd like to join up. So this is going to be up on YouTube. So anybody who'd like to try and create a little character in YouTube, uh, please do. And I'll put an email address up at the end of the class, and you can send me your uh, your cool characters. I've already gotten a few actually, but you can send me your cool characters, and they will be patrons in my library-based video game that I'll be creating. All right. But first, let's get started with Tinkercad. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video here, say hello one more time. Since I'm so shy, I'm going to get that turned off so the focus can be on Tinkercad. Okay, hopefully you should still be able to hear my voice. So let me tell you just a little bit about Tinkercad. It is created by Autodesk. Autodesk is basically the pioneers, the people who started doing more or less 3D modeling. I could be wrong about that, but I've always only heard about Autodesk. There have been plenty more recent, but they've been doing this since, gosh, the 80s, I believe, maybe longer. But in most industries use Autodesk in some way, either for architecture, even more so for things like uh, architecture for engines, car parts, things like that. Any of that kind of modeling, it's usually done through something created by Autodesk. So they were very nice enough to create this completely free um, 3D modeling program that is internet-based. And so there's no heavy resource hogging on your computer. It's all done on the internet. And it's actually quite powerful for what it is. And it is completely free. And they even let you do lots of things besides just 3D modeling. You can do simulations with electronics. They even do code blocks. You can do stuff with Minecraft. I think that's down here. Minecraft, like Lego bricks. They've built so much into here. It's great. It's good for all ages. I mean, I use it a bunch, but it's great for kids. It's just an all-around great program. So I'd really like to get people out there using it, trying it out, practicing, because you can learn a lot through this. So let's get started. Let me just show you quickly how to sign up or log in. So first, of course, you'll just go to tinkercad.com. And when you're ready to sign up, you can just hit join now up here. So you can see a lot of schools have been using Tinkercad now um, because it's great on so many levels. But they've got a great like this sharing ability built in with educators and students for sharing projects, class assignments, things like that. So a lot of school children have been using it. Of course, for now, where our focus is on your own, create a personal account. Now on this end, if you want to sign in super quick, you can use your Google information or your Apple information, but it's just as easy to just sign up with an email. Now for that, all you have to do is choose your country, your birth date. Now the whole reason for the birth date is simply to say how old you are, because if you're too young, then they will ask for a bit extra information, permission from your parents, things like that. But once you've got your birth date in, then you just put in your email address, a password that needs to be at least one letter, at least one number, have a total of 8 characters and 3 unique characters. So that's, like an exclamation point or an @ sign, something along those lines. And then, of course, you have to agree to their terms of services. Once you're ready, just hit create account. I believe they will send you an email asking to verify that your email address is correct. But other than that, that's all the information they ask for. So nothing too bad. However, in my case, I'm going to go ahead and log in. All right. So once you're completely logged in, this is what you will see. This is your dashboard. As you can see, here's a whole bunch of things. This is the robot character that I made last week, and I'll be remaking again some version of this right now. But first, we're going to head over here to my video game characters. Now, I believe in the description below, I will also be putting a link to this template. So if anybody wants to get in and play around with this template here, you can definitely get in there and just create a cool character just from this template. So I'll have this available for anybody who doesn't want to go through and try and make a whole character by themselves. They can go in and play with this template. So you can see over on the side here that here's the circuits, code blocks, even some lessons you can do, some other basic lessons. So yeah, I will let you play around with that. But for now, I'm going to get into my video game characters template. So for that, I can just hit tinker this. You don't have to tinker this. You can actually click on it. And if you want to like download something that's already made, you can hit download there. Or, of course, tinker this again. So, okay, here is my video game characters template. Before we get too much into that, let me just give you a quick walk around, a tour of Tinkercad. Of course, this blue plane right here, it's called the workplane. This is where you'll be doing all the magic. Now, to navigate, generally, all you have to do is hit your right click or your secondary click on your mouse, your button, and that will let you kind of move around or move the work plane around. You can see that's also mirrored up here in this navigation cube. You can also use that to navigate around. If you ever get kind of lost or kind of in a weird angle, you can click this home button right here, and that will zoom you back in to your default view. If you're trying to just zoom in on a particular object, this button right here, Fit All in View, is fantastic. So let's say I just wanted to zoom in on this arm and do something. I will select it. You'll know something is selected because it's got all these little boxes around it. I like to call them cells. And that's how, and of course it also has this blue outline around it. Once you have something selected, you just hit that and it'll zoom right in. Of course, you can zoom in and out also. If it's a little too close, you can use these plus and minus keys. If you've got a scroll wheel on your mouse, you can also use that to scroll in and out. And this last one, generally we won't have to deal with, but as you can see, it says switch to flat view. Basically, it takes the 3D perspective out of it, and there you go. It takes that perspective out, so everything has basically a flat look to it. But we're going to stick with the 3D perspective look. All right, now let me go back. There we go. A little bit more to talk about. So up here in the top, this menu bar up top is great. Generally, you've got copy and paste up here. Usually I'll just use the shortcuts Control C and Control V, and of course you can see it also has the shortcuts written there. There is the duplicate and repeat. We'll be using that a good bit, some today. You can delete up here. You can do undo and redo. I use that a lot, especially undo, because I'm constantly making mistakes. Over on the other side here, very important tools, mirror, which comes in handy. Basically, it lets you flip it lets you quickly flip something on the other side, or flip an object on the other side. It makes a mirror image of it, so to speak. So it's good for if you have an object and you duplicate that object and then you just want to flip it. That's where mirror comes in. Align is another incredibly useful tool, which of course it puts your objects. It aligns them center or right or however you need to. It's just a quick way to get things moved around. You've got ungroup and group, which are very much needed. Otherwise, all of these things would be apart. Oop, oop, see, already making mistakes. But see, all of these things are grouped together, so it becomes one whole object. And of course, group and of course ungroup when you need to make changes to something. And this little flashlight, or not flashlight, light bulb here, if you hide any objects, let's say you don't want to move it out of the way, you just need to hide it for a little bit, this will re-show anything that you've hidden. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. For example, here is the hide selected. You can see my arm just got hidden over here. If I hit this, voila, my arm is back. Okay, so that's just a quick walk around of our toolbars. You'll see all of our basic shapes over here that you can play around with. Let me do a quick run through. We'll just do a quick one. So box, you just select box with your mouse and drag it out on the plane wherever you'd like, and then click it again, and voila, it's out on the plane. You'll see over here, this is our inspector window, our shape window. And you can actually make a lot of changes to this box here in the inspector window. For example, you can change the radius. You can actually make it more of a circle, give it some nice round edges. Steps will make it more block-like. So we'll actually be doing a good bit of that today in this class. You can change the length from here, you can change the width from here, and you can also change the height. Very, very tall cube. Zoom out here. There we go. Now the inspector box here will usually display different things for different shapes. You know, some shapes here you can't do much with in the inspector. You'll have to change them manually. So to change something manually, like you can click on one of these cells that I talked about earlier. You can also change it manually that way. If you're doing the black ones, if you're doing the white ones, you can do multiple at the same time. And of course, if you need to change the height, this center one at the top will change the height. Now, a little quick tip here. If you want to make a size change, but you want everything to change at the same time, you want it to change in proportion with the rest, you can hold down the Shift key on your keyboard, grab one, and there you go. As you can see, if you're holding down the Shift key, everything will change in proportion with everything else. So that is a handy little hint, shortcut. All right. Another thing you can do here, you see all these curved arrows. That is for rotation. So you can do rotation by single degrees if you kind of keep your mouse above this little area with all the little notches. If you want it to be more precise, you can go down into the bottom notches. You see it highlights a little bit, and then boom, boom, it's a little bit more precise. Usually when you're rotating, you're going like 45 degrees or 90 degrees. So those bigger notches are a lot easier to work with. You can also, any of these boxes that you see that's got like 90 degrees or even the length, you can click on them directly and you can actually change it just like that. And sometimes I like to do that. Instead, it's a little bit more precise. So that is an option as well. Now, the last thing, if you want something to float more above the work plane, you'll see this little conical arrow right here. And you can click that arrow and drag things up and down, and you'll see the float. You can change that as well. And there you go. So that is the basics of just playing around with a shape. All right. And of course, luckily this is recorded. I'm probably going a little fast, but you can always pause it, rewind, go back and watch stuff again, because I'm probably going to go a little bit fast with this, but I'll try and stay as slow as possible. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and delete this. So next, I just want to show you a little bit how to play around with this template. So for example, let's start with a head. Let's get a head. So for now, I'm just going to zoom in. So like I said, these are templates. I created these myself. You can see I've got the neck. They're not exactly perfect. Like this neck is a little too far forward. You can always go in and change it yourself. And you can make any changes to these. But how I'd like you to do it, though, with playing with the template, isn't to just try and grab this head itself. What you should do, let me hit my home view again. What you should do is, rather than play with the head that's right here, you should hit the duplicate and repeat button. Now, when you hit that, as you can see, it doesn't look like anything's changed. But what it does is it makes the duplicate right on top of the original. So basically, from here, all you need to do is pull it out, and you can see here is my duplicate. So now that it's out here, I will zoom in. There we go. And honestly, from here, I can make any changes I want. To make any changes, you should come up here to the ungroup. Now you can see you've got a whole bunch of little parts here that we can play around with. Teeth. So I'm not going to do too much with this one, but I want my guy to be bald. There we go. Let's make him look a little meaner. Sometimes it's a little difficult with these. There we go. Make him look a little bit meaner. Of course, nothing has to be. Let me actually change the color there. If you'd like to change color, you can come up here into the inspector. And you've got tons of colors here. You've even got custom colors. So you can pretty much make any color you want, even if you have like the hex number, which, every color on the internet, basically every color has its own hex number. So put that in there and you can pretty much create any color you want. But for now, I'll just stick with the this. I'm going to change them to, purple. Purple-ish. I think I'll change his nostril color to that same purple. I kind of like it. And we'll have some evil, say he's just had something to eat. And I could also select all of these at the same time. It's a little bit easier. Oh, those are actually two different colors, but I kind of like that. Anyway, say you want to grab all these teeth. The easiest way to do it, if you want to select all of them at the same time, once again, you can hold down the Shift key and then click, click, click. Now you can see all of my teeth are selected. Now I can just come in, hit that red button, and now all the teeth are red. So there we go. Now he's gone from a softer, gentler looking dinosaur to something a bit more sinister. Anyway, so I think that's good for my head. So now that my head is finished, I'm gonna just draw a range over it. To draw a range, all you have to do is hold down your primary mouse button, your left click, make the box over it completely, and go ahead and hit group again so that we don't actually make any changes. What will happen, see, everything turns to red. That's because the first object that was selected was red, but easy enough to fix. All you have to do is go down here to multicolor, click on multicolor, and it brings back up all of your various shades. Okay, so now my head is done. So next what I'll do, I will bring up, let's go for the body. Let's not use a dinosaur body. Let's go for something a little different. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and align these. I mentioned the align tool earlier. It just helps a bit to get things where you want them. So I'm just going to do a little center align. Pop. Not sure. Yeah, I think center align was enough. Well, you can see when it goes into a line, you have to have multiple objects selected. You hit align, and then all of these lovely little circles come up. And you just choose which one you want to align. It'll give you a little preview. And when you're finished, you can just click anywhere on the work plane and it'll cancel out. Honestly, all I wanted to do was a central line because his face is a little too far back now because of that extra little muzzle. So I'm just going to move it forward. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Let's go for some arms now. Well, okay. I guess I can go in and edit the body just a little bit. So I will ungroup. Let's change our tie color. Let's go with blue. And let's make this a black suit. Of course, you can also come in and change the dimensions a little bit here too. You can make them bigger, thinner, as you like. Just be sure when you're finished that you select everything. Try not to select the head as well. It's good to wait until the very end to do your complete. But to keep the head from getting selected, you just kind of aim low. Because as long as this little dotted square is touching one of the objects, it will highlight it. So you can see it highlighted the whole body there. Even if it's a little bit farther up, just like that, it'll still highlight everything. All right, I think that's good enough for me. I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, once again, let's do multicolor. Bingo. All right, next, we'll get some arms. So I'm going to ungroup these arms. Be careful when you ungroup. After you ungroup, you do need to kind of select away from them or unselect them. So because even though they're ungrouped, everything is still selected. So now that we're done with that, we're going to do that. Going to do that. Once again, if you like, you can use a line. I'm not going to worry too much about it right now, but a line would come in handy here. Just make sure that they are overlapping. That's the most important thing. There we go. Just for the heck of it, I think I'm going to make these arms. I'm actually going to not worry about ungrouping. I'm just going to make these arms just a little bit longer. It's all right. If it distorts it a little bit, it still looks pretty cool. Check the sizes. Yep, 31 and 31. Very good. And well, but I will come in and ungroup and at least make the arm parts. He's going to have a short sleeve suit, or she, or it. Okay, let's see. So ungroup and ungroup. We'll just change that to black, 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 and black. And then I'll regroup. Oh, interesting. And multicolor. But I think everyone gets the idea of how this works. It's the same thing with the legs. Group and multicolor. And let's see, we'll go back to the dinosaur legs. Fit the view, get a good idea. They're just barely touching. I'm actually going to bring the body down a little bit just to make sure they're better touching. There we go. And voila. Just going to leave the legs as is. And my little video game character is created. Now I'll just group everything together. This should actually keep my multi-color, considering that there's multiple pieces that are multicolor. Yeah, it did. All right. So voila. This is just one example of, just a cool video game character you can create. Of course, you can add more. There are tons of other shapes in here. There's even some like bunny ears, things like that. Lots of fun things you can look at. Maybe not connectors, but trying to think. Components? Oh no, that gets into all that stuff. Characters. Yeah, here we go. Like you can do spectacles, shades, hats, mustaches. There's a lot of things you can play with in here. Chicken feet. Just stuff that's that you can add on or play around with. So keep that in mind as well when you're playing around. All right. So let me go over, if you'd like to try and build one on your own, let me show you some quick tips for creating your own character. Okay. So let me get out of this one. See, and I made a mistake here. You can see I did the duplicate with the head, but I didn't do it with anything else. I have that problem all the time. So With something like that, it's pretty simple. If you just do a bunch of undos, and voila. There we go. All back in order because I am constantly making mistakes. I will delete that. Now, I should have showed you this before that. If you decide to use this template, or when you create uh, your own video game character, the way that you can get it to me, or at least I'll put the email up at the end, but the way you can get it to me is once you have it ready, you can hit this export button up here at the top, and you'll want to most likely, well, if you're using the template, you'll want to do selected shapes. So whichever is in the center that you've made, you'll want to make sure that is selected and this is selected. Otherwise, it will try and download all of this. So what you'll want to do is, even though it says for 3D print, what you'll want to do is hit .obj. If you use .obj, it will save all of the colors that you put in, and that's great for something like a video game character if you're exporting for that. If you're exporting for something like 3D printing, STL is the way to go because it will just export the model itself without any added colors that you've put into it. So keep that in mind. What you'll want to do is hit OBJ, and then you'll have your character and you'll be able to email it to me so that I can put it in for the video game. Okay. Now, back to here. Let's go over here to, let's just go back. We're going to start a whole new thing. Create new design. Okay, so here I've just created fresh space to work in. So let me get started on how, just some nice tips for creating your own character, any kind of character. So first things first, let's start from the bottom up. So we'll start with the feet. For my feet, for just let's do another robot. So I will just bring out a cube onto the plane. I like to work with cubes a lot whenever I can because, as I said over here in the inspector, there's much more things you can do with it here rather than having to come out and play with the cells. This is just a little bit more convenient, a little bit more accurate, precise if you're using the inspector. So for this cube, we're just going to change the length, the width, and the height. So the length, well, actually the length, we're going to keep it 20. The width, I would like you to change to, or I will change to 13. Of course, if you're making your own, you can, change it however you like. And I'm going to change the height to 5. So there is my foot, my first foot. Okay. Next, I'm going to use, and this is actually the biggest tip of all, the workplane tool up here in the top. I forgot to mention that before. You've got a ruler and a workplane tool. The ruler is really good just for getting an idea of all of the different sizes of your objects and the distance between them. It can come in handy for accuracy's sake for certain things. The workplane tool is great, especially if you're stacking one thing on top of the other or working on the sides of an object. And I'll show you how that is, but basically it helps a lot without having to constantly be like lifting things up with the conical arrow and stuff. You can just hit the workplane tool, come over here on top of our foot and click it. And as you can see, it's created a new workplane on top of our foot. So rather than bringing something out on here and then trying to lift it up and put it over on the top here, all we have to do is choose our next shape, which in this case, I'm going to use a half sphere, and pop it here, literally right on top of our foot. without having to use anything else. So it saves a couple of steps using this workplane tool. So let's see. For this half sphere, as you can see over here in the inspector, it gives me nothing to work with. So everything I have to do with the cells now. So I'm actually just going to click on this cell so that it makes my my two sizes appear, my numbers, and I'm going to change both length and width to 11, and I'm going to change the height to 5, and just zoom in so you can get a better look. There we go. Now what you can do is select both of these and use the align, so it's more center aligned, and then you can click off to get rid of that, and let's move that just a little forward. There we go. I think that looks good. Thus you've got your ankle. All right. Now I'm going to leave the work plane here, but if you ever want to cancel this out and get back to the normal work plane, you can just click work plane again, and where it's highlighted blue, just click that and it goes back to the old work plane. Or you can click it and try and stick it over here on top. But with the curved ones, I usually don't like to use the work plane just because it's nearly impossible to get it flat. I think even here it's it's curved. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, it's curved. That's why I use mainly blocks. It doesn't work well with the curved surfaces. Okay, let's get the work plane back down there. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in another cube, or another box, sorry. And this box, or actually first, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and just fuse those, group those, sorry. It'll just help with some of the aligning. So this new cube, this new box, I'm going to change the length and the width to 7. And the height to 13. And that just kind of completes my ankle. I'm going to align it. It's a little far back. Click out of that, and there we go. If you're having trouble doing your aligning sometimes, one thing you can do if you're trying to align it yourself is this snap grid down here. If you choose a smaller number, it means it changes the amount, the distance it moves when you're using like your arrow keys on your keyboard. So that can be really helpful if you have to align something manually and you can't use the tool up here. So oftentimes I'll keep it at 0.25. If things get really annoying, I go down to 0.1. So for now, I'm actually going to leave it at 0.5. So best of both worlds. Also, for color, I'm going to change this top part and make it a nice. Actually, I'm kind of in love with that. Is that like a burgundy purple? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm falling in love with this color, so I'm going to use that. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just group that as well. And multicolor. There we go. Okay, next, I'm going to do another cube. Oh, but first, now that we've got a nice flat area here, I'm going to bring back out the work plane, stick it there. I'm going to bring out another cube out of here, or box, And I'm going to change the length and width on this one to 12. And the height I'm going to change on this one to 13. There we go. And let's kind of center align these. There we go. And let's move this guy back a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to change this guy's color to maybe a blue. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay. So now we're getting there. Now, here's another little thing. Just for fun, if you want to add a little bit of extra detail to this, let me show you something. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a little scribble on the front of our shin here. So let's bring out the work plane again, and we're actually going to put it on the side of this, on the front side. There we go. And I'm going to add an extra little plate here. And we'll bring that down. One easy way to make it a little bit easier to get this working is if you make this transparent. And that can also be found here in the solid, the color section in your, I have to go to the side here, and we'll just bring that in. There we go. Now that we got that, take off transparent. There we go, that looks pretty good. For reference, it's at 11.50 by 10.50, but don't worry about the numbers too much. You can make it a bit smaller, a bit bigger, as you like. So now that we've got that, if you'll look here in your basic shapes, you'll see something called Scribble. It'll look just like a scribble. Click on that, bring it out here. And you can see you've got a little preview up here in the top. And from here, you've got this blank slate where you can honestly scribble whatever you want. This is actually really cool if you've got like an iPad and or like an iPad Pro and a pencil. You can actually do some pretty cool stuff here. But for now, I'm just going to make some bleeps and bloops because I'm such an amazing artist. I mean, look at this. Beautiful. And almost a straight line. Put a little wave in there. Beautiful. Okay, I think that's good enough for me. Actually, no. Let's just add some rivets down in the bottom. Masterpiece. Okay, once you have everything you want in your scribble, you can just hit done. As you can tell, of course, it's huge, but it's very easy to just fit it down. Just kind of get it in there using the cells. Kind of zoom in a little bit using your fit to zoom. That's looking pretty good. Maybe make it a bit longer. Maybe a little bit wider. Of course, you can always, change your snap grid down to an even smaller number, but I think that looks pretty good. You can change the height here, or you can try and use this. I prefer to do this. Just go height, change that to 1. See. Yeah, that's good. I think that'll work just fine. And I do want to change the color. Let's turn it to a nice orange, I don't know, yellow, green. Oh, no. Let's stick with orange. Yeah, orange will do. All right, there we go. So that's just an optional little thing. You can add some extra details to your robot or whatever character you decide to make. You can even use it to draw like a cool or creepy or whatever face at the top. So much stuff you can do. Scribbles are a really cool little thing if you don't mind, the inaccuracy of it. I kind of like straight lines, which I'm horrible at making myself. Okay, let us continue on. All right, next, I'm going to use the work plane again, pop it here on the top. So now we're on the top of our shin. Okay, what I'm going to bring out now is a sphere, but worry not because we're going to do some stuff with this sphere to make it a bit blocky, like I showed you early on. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me group all of this down below it so that I don't mess anything up when I'm aligning. Group. There we go. I'm actually going to just push this guy down just a little bit to make sure it's properly overlapping with our shin. As for the sides, we want the sphere to be, let's see, length of 14. I think I got this right. Width of 12. And a height of 7. Let's try that again. 7. There we go. And let's get that aligned. Oh yeah. Center align's the only thing that works here because, we've got the foot sticking out at the front. So we'll just have to move that back a little bit. There we go. So one thing you can do here with the cube, like I said, we want to make it more blocky. The steps right here, you can make it super smooth by going up to 24, but what we want to do is change the steps back to 3. There we go. Now it's nice and blocky. You can even turn it a little bit to make it. Actually, go there. There you go. Make it look a little funky. Okay. And I'm going to change that to a red color, I think. Yeah, very nice. Okay, next. Oh, actually, that's the majority. That's our leg right there. We're pretty much done. We're going to go ahead and group these. All right. Now to make our second leg, I'm just going to get rid of the work plane right now because that color is bugging me. I'm going to grab this. Oh, it's already grouped, so I don't need to grab the whole thing. And I'm going to make our second leg, which is much easier than the first. I will just hit duplicate and use the arrow keys to pop it off to the side. I think that's pretty good. You can always go in and make any changes you want to the other leg if you don't want them to be symmetrical. And then I'm just going to go ahead and group. There we go. I've got my 2 legs all ready. Okay, next, let's go on to the main body. All right. So for next, we'll bring out another cube, or another box, sorry. Since, of course, we made it a bit sharp at the top here, it's hard to use the work plane. So I just want to show you how you have to do a lot of these things, or when you can't use the work plane shortcut. So for here, let's go ahead and change the cube shape. We want this one to be, well, I think the length of 20 is fine. We'll want to change the width to 31, and height to 8. Now, here's some other little things that you can do with squares. I might have, or boxes. I might have shown it a little bit before. You can change the radius, as I said, change it up to 4. Gives it that roundness, but then you can change the step. We're going to make the step 1. Now you've got a lovely blocky, pixelated cube, pixelated box. So what you'll want to do is actually drag this guy up. I usually like to start dragging it up, then I'll click over here on the height, change that to 28. Then, now that it's at 28, we can just select both of these and use the align and do a center align. And I think I will bring that forward just a little. Oh, there we go. I think that looks good. And I will also change the color over to that purplish blue. There we go. So let's make this a more multifaceted. We'll go for a dark green. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our abdomen area. So next, once again, we can use our workplane tool, put it on top of our abdomen, and we can bring out another box now. And this box will want the length still to be 20. We'll want the width to be 28 and the height to be 25. And of course, don't worry about these numbers. You can be playing around with whatever you want with these. We'll make the radius at 3 this time, and then we're going to change the steps once again down to 1 to give it that nice blockiness. And do a little bit of aligning to make sure it's more or less in the right area. Get out of that. And I think we're good. Perfect. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this to make it that light green. Oh gosh, this is turning into a very ugly robot, but that's okay. Maybe we'll just stick with the darker green. Or what's this color? Ooh, that's interesting. Let's go, I'm going to go with that color. Slightly, no, it's all still ugly. That's okay. Anyway, we've got our main body now. That was a bit easier than the legs. But once again, if we want to mess around, give it a little extra detail, we can. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and just group my main body together so I don't mess in case I mess any alignments up. And then I'll go ahead and, actually no, I'll leave it alone. But I'm going to add a little bit of extra. Oh, delete. Let's change our work plane. Once again, we're going to do a little bit of a scribble here. Bring in my box. Zoom in a little bit. Bring that up. Bring that out. Bring that down. I think that's pretty good. And bring that down to about, we'll just say 0.5. And sorry if I'm going a little fast. As I said, you can always pause, rewind, all that fun stuff you can do on YouTube. What was I doing? Oh, yes. Transparent. I'm going to change the color on this guy. Make it green. There we go. And once again, we'll choose a scribble. Stick it in the center there. And I'm just going to make some little beep, 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 beep. Dun, dun. I'm just fooling around here. And done. Yeah, whatever you want to put in here. Ran out of space. There we go. Almost looks like a monster in and of itself. Anyway, I think that's good enough for me. I'll go ahead and hit done. And now we'll just fit it in here. All right. Zoom in. I think that looks all right. Beautiful. I'll change the height to 1. Perfect. As for the color, we'll go with, whoa, that's a bit much. How about, go with that color again. Sure, why not? Okay, now we're done with all of our beautiful detailing. And group. Oh, multicolor. Bingo. Okay, so we're good there. Now let's work on those arms. So work plane, we'll be working on the side here. You can see we're on the side. For this, we will bring out another sphere. And make sure that's just a little bit inside. About -1 is good. And we'll want the sphere to be 9 on all sides. So 9, 9, and 9. Oh, 9. There we go. Just kind of get that aligned where you want it. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right. Just kind of use the fit to view. There we go. That's better. Okay. Also, let's make this guy a little blocky. We'll put him down to a step of 3. There we go. You can see it's nicely overlapping there. All right, next, let's bring out another cube, another box. And let's see, we'll want it to be 777. And, oh, height, come on. There we go. And we'll want the step on this one, or first, sorry, radius. We'll have a radius of 3 and a step of 1. Oh, cool. I think I got messed up there. Radius of 3. Wow, that's really cool looking. Wait. What's going on here? Let's try this again. That box looked different. We have 777. There we go. Pull that out a little bit. And we want the radius to be 3. And the step to be 1. Wow, that is certainly something new, but it's cool. I'm going to use it. It didn't used to do that. Not even last week. But I like it. I think I'm going to make a new kind of arm with this. Let's see. I am going to get these. There we go. I think what I'm going to do here, let me show you a cool little thing with duplicate. So now that I've got that, I'm going to hit duplicate. And I'm just going to use, oh, I forget what I'm doing. Forget where I'm at. I'm going to use duplicate. I'm just going to pull this out. Make sure that they're still overlapping a bit. And then I'm going to hit duplicate again. Oh, rats. Probably I didn't work that time. Let me try it again. And hit again. There we go. And go one more time. There we go. So it's just a cool little shortcut with duplicate. If you duplicate something and then move your duplicate off, as long as you don't move it again after that, you can hit the duplicate key one more time and it will then duplicate it only, where it thinks you're going to be next. You can also do it if you duplicate something, change the size of it a little bit, and then move it out, and then hit duplicate again. It will create another one even smaller, and also where it thinks you'd want the duplicate to be. That's a little hard to explain, but I can show it to you super quick. So here is just a cylinder. So let me hit duplicate. Make it a little bit smaller. Right now I'm just going to use the shift to make it smaller and then move it off. And then hit duplicate again. And as you can see, it made one even smaller and a little bit more. You can hit again, 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 and it'll just keep making them smaller and smaller. The reverse also applies. Anyway, let me go back. So yeah. So this is cool. So as you can see, this is just length width height of 7, radius of 3, step of 1. And then I just duplicated it out and made an arm this way. So let's go ahead and make a hand to go along with this. First, let's see. I think I will use a cylinder. Since I've got a little flat end right here, I'm going to put the work plane right there. There we go. And I'll put a cylinder. And I will shift. I'm going to hold the shift and bring that down to about there. I think that looks pretty good. But then I'm going to just also change the height and bring it in to about, we'll say 2. Maybe we'll go in just a little bit. Oh. I like that. Yeah, 1.5. So it's 1.5, and also don't really worry too much about the numbers. It's at 5.62, but you can round up, round down. I'm going to go ahead and make sure all of these are more or less aligned. Oh, let's go at it from this way. And align. There we go. And there we go. There, I like that. Okay. Now let's focus here on main part of the hand. I'll go ahead and move the work plane here. Use fit to view. As for the hand itself, I think I'll use a wedge. Oh, sorry, forgot how big that is. Let's bring it down to size. I just used shift to bring that, make it smaller. There we go. Let's zoom in with the fit to view. That looks pretty good. You can just align it kind of where you want it. Make them just a little smaller. There we go. Bring that down a little bit. Now I'm going to duplicate it. And I will just kind of stick it there. And I'm going to rotate it if I can find the little, sometimes, there it is. Sometimes it can be really hard to find these. Rotate it 90 degrees. Oh, I'm gonna have to bring it maybe down to 0.25. There we go. And up one. Aha. Now I'm going to duplicate again and duplicate again. And see? Voila. Made a little cool pincer arm, claw arm. All right. So now, to be safe, let me get all that grouped. And bring back our multicolors. I'm going to bring my work plane back down to the bottom. Now that I have those grouped, we'll make our next arm. For the next arm, I will duplicate. Duh. And I mentioned way a long time ago the mirror option. So if you click mirror up here, you'll see these dual headed arrows. So all you'll want to do is click this one along the bottom. That'll mirror it, or basically flip it the other way. And then you can just use the arrow keys to just drag it over to the other side. If you want to keep up with it, you can always hit the fit to view. Make sure that it is still more or less in the same place. Yeah, that looks good. And voila, you have your two arms. I'm just because I'm scared, I'm going to just go ahead and group everything together. Oh, I like these new arms. Those are cool. They remind me of an anime robot's arms, but I can't remember which one off the top of my head. Okay, we're almost done. Now, finally, the head. This is not too difficult, thank goodness. And I'm not going to go into too much craziness with the head. So, for the head, let's bring first, it's good to have a little neck, just because it helps a little bit when I'm animating it. Because, of course, once you send me your characters, I have to put them through, I have to give them a virtual skeleton so that they will be animated. I use a little shortcut. There's an Adobe program called Mixamo that you can check out for yourself. You can animate your own characters. It's really great. It's really easy to use. But you can also import those animations into, and the skeletons, all of it, into Unity. So it's just a great little shortcut. But okay, let's get started. All right. But for that, you kind of need to have certain parts of your body there. So having these little joints, that helps a little bit. Okay. Next, I kind of got off my notes because I redesigned the arms on the fly. Anyway, let me catch up with my notes here. Okay, here we go. So next, let's bring out another cube or another box. Oh, nope. Delete. let's use the workplane tool on top of our main body. Now we'll bring out a box, kind of get it where you think the neck would be. We'll change the length to 8 and the width to 8 and the height to 3. There we go. And that actually looks pretty good. I don't think it needs to be moved around. But of course, if yours does, you can move it around, get it aligned. You can use the align function at least to kind of get it centered. There we go. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this to match the body a bit. Go with that slightly lighter green. Okay. Now we'll use the workplane tool again. Get it on top of our neck. And now we'll bring out our head. Kind of get that aligned as best you can. For this, all the lengths, change them to 18. All right, there we go. And we'll want to change the radius to 2. And we want to change the, one second. Yeah, radius to 2 and steps to 2. There we go. Okay, there we go. Very nice. So our head's a little bit less blocky than the rest. Now we can just kind of get that centered a little bit. Very good. Yeah, I think the head is a good part of the neck. Good. Okay. Nice. And we will change the color, or I'm going to change the color to maybe that light green. Okay. So now we've got our head. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and group these just to be safe. Now you can really just start working on your face. For that, we will once again use the workplane tool, put it on the front here. Heck, if you wanted to, you could come in here and just do a scribble and scribble whatever face you want on there. In fact, let me try that. I'm curious. So let's see. I'm going to keep my steadiest hand possible. We're going to do square eyes. We'll go. Another square eye. And the only problem here, of course, is that it will all be the same color. Of course, you could technically do different scribbles for each one, but that's okay. And for the nose, we'll do like a it's a weird looking nose. And finally, for the mouth, beautiful. So here will be the essence of my face. All right, so let's go ahead and hit done. And we'll just put that there. Let's zoom in a little bit, fit the view. Wow, those eyes are far apart. Let's see if we can fix that a little bit. Not bad. All right, and I'll change the height to about 1. And I will change, let's go with red. Beautiful. So yeah, you can do that. Of course, you can go in and bring your own shapes. You can even do multiple scribbles. You can do whatever you want for your face. So that is completely up to you. I think I'm going to give this guy one antenna and call it a day. So let me use my work plane on the top here. And I think I'll use a cylinder. Bring that down a little bit. 1 second, let me get this, get my face grouped so that nothing happens to my face. There we go. And let's get this aligned so that it kind of sort of looks in the right place. There we go. Bring that down. Okay. I'm going to bring another cylinder. Actually, I'll just duplicate this cylinder. Bring it up a little bit. Let it overlap. And just make it smaller. Bring it up like that. That looks pretty good. And then I'll duplicate that. Haha. And I'll duplicate that. Okay, I think that's good enough. And for the coup de grace, we'll add a little, where's my work plane tool? We'll pop the work plane tool on top of that little bit there and add a sphere. Tempted to keep it that same size. And I'm going to use the shift. Oop. Sometimes when you get into small things, it's harder to select them. There we go. And change some colors. Actually, I like the bottom color there. Zoom in. There we go. It's easier. Change this color to red. Change this one to blue. I don't know. Change this one to yellow. And change our top bit to that purpley color. Funky. All right. And voila. My robot is done. Beautiful, don't you think? I know you think so. Okay, let me just group everything together. Let me get my work plane back to normal. And group. All right, so here is my robot. You know, you could even like put stuff on the back here if you like. But yeah, I'm pretty proud actually. Okay, let me not waste any more of your time. But as I said before, let me reiterate. Once you have your robot finished, or whatever character you come up with, all you have to do, make sure it's all grouped together just to be safe. Make sure everything is overlapping, because otherwise it'll be harder to create stuff or create the animations if it's not all overlapping. And of course, it needs to be humanoid just because that also helps. At least, you know, meaning humanoid, you know, it's got legs, it's got arms, it's got a body, it's got a head kind of thing. Okay, but once you're ready, hit export. As I said before, you can see it has the selected shape because, you know, I've got everything grouped together and it's the only thing there. You'll hit .obj, and you'll see down here at the bottom, preparing models, built, and boom. Oh yes, I also should add up here in the top corner, change the name. Videogram. Generally, it's good to put your name and ultimate video game character, and to make sure so that I'll know whose it is and what it's meant for. But of course, it'll show up here down as a zip file. And what you'll need to do is just send it to, let me just pop this up here. Probably should have had this out before. .org. So you'll just send it to there, sbarlow@wpbcitylibrary.org. And I will get it, add the animations and whatnot, and it will be part of the video game. Hopefully, I will be finished with the video game by the end of September. That's what I'm aiming for. I still have to finish up a bit of a backlog of other things first, and then I'll get back to work on the programming and all that fun stuff. But hopefully, it'll be working by the end of September, and everybody will be able to check it out. So please keep an eye out. Once again, my name is Stephen Barlow, and thank you very much for coming on this awesome adventure. Be on the lookout for some of my other programming. I try and do these Tinkercad classes from time to time, and other technology-related classes as well. Please have a great day. Stay safe, and I hope to see you in the library when this is all finished. Thank you very much once again, and please have a great day. Goodbye.